life's better here.
I'm at the Raisin National Battlefield Park, where right here, the two battles of Raisin took place. Now, you might not have heard of Frenchtown in your textbooks, but it's very important that us from Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan know the sacrifices that our ancestors made to make life better here.
What it is a national battlefield park, and it's part of the 1812 war. There are 4 national battlefield parks in the entire country. We are one of them. What they want to do is to recreate Frenchtown at some point in the future. They're going to restore the look of the battlefield the way it was 200 years ago. People like American history once they get to know it. This is the biggest battle ever fought in Michigan that nobody's ever heard of. Probably because this was a defeat for the United States, and it's not one of those things that people like to publicize too much. Also because shortly after the battle, the term Frenchtown disappeared. It was renamed Monroe. And then in the early 20th century, a large paper mill was established on the site. And as the teachers find out about it, the students come down here. They get to walk around, they get to put on the uniforms, they get to recreate a little bit, do a little living history, and you know, this is the kind of stuff that they will remember.
The costumes, the uniforms that they wore, the Indians primarily, and what they wore and what kind of weapons they had, things of that nature. But just the war itself. History intrigues me, and I just want to feel what it might have felt like 200 years ago. Anybody who has interest in the history of our nation and you know, wars primarily should stop in and take a look.
Mostly troops from the 17th. They were encamped here. This is where they were out in the open.
Okay.
And they withstood fire from flanking Native Americans and Canadian militia for about 15 minutes before they started to break for the riverbank, which is behind us. The riverbank was a slight depression, gave them some cover, but the river was frozen, so soon they found themselves facing enfilading fire, that is, fire from the end of their row, which is very, very deadly because the Native Americans and Canadians continued to flank them and went around them. So they broke and ran and continued to retreat across the river south to the city park that's on the south side, which is Hallenberg Field, and then farther south to a place called Plum Creek, which is where they kind of made their last stand. There is a considerable community effort to restore Frenchtown. All of that land along the river, and most of it where Frenchtown was, is either in city or private hands. So if these people are willing to sell their property to the city can acquire the property and open the land up. So over the next decade, or even sooner, or decades, the hope is that this land will all be acquired and a reconstructed Frenchtown can be placed next to the national park.
Why is life better here in Monroe?
The Raisin National Battlefield Park reminds us of the great sacrifices it took on the part of those who came before us to make the life here, to make it livable, in order to better appreciate what we have today.